Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the morning show. We are going to be running a couple of stories. We're going to be running through a couple of stories. We'll talk about Gabriel Jesus. We'll talk about Athamelo as well. We'll talk about Gabriel Magalhaes. There is concern about that boy. And of course, the big day as we conclude the end of the season, as we conclude the season, we will discuss where will Arsenal finish this season, Europa League or the UEFA Champions League. We do welcome back Thomas Partey in training, but I do not think he will be fit for this game. So that and more is coming up in this show. Hit the like button and of course type good morning in the chat and let me know where you are watching from.
Forward, Van Persie! Wonderful goal from Van Persie! Lacazette, here he is! Brilliant finish! He took it first time and with devastating effect!
All right then, lads, welcome back to the show. So, right, to start off, let's start off with Gabriel Magalhaes. Now, talks have been reported that Arsenal are under really big scare that Gabriel Magalhaes could be one of those players that could leave the club this summer. Now, I've seen a couple of stories from Italy talking about Magalhaes and Juventus, but the big one that I've seen today is that Juventus are planning on extending the contract of Matthias de Ligt. They want him to sign a long-term contract. They want him to stay on a long term. Probably 2025 to 2026. Now there have been concerns of Gabriel Magalhaes and the interest from Juventus. The player has already come out and said he wants to commit to Arsenal. He wants to stay at Arsenal Football Club. However, according to Nicolo Schira, this is what he actually published, and that is why I was a little bit scared. Right? So he said that talks have been progressing between Juventus and the agent of Brazilian centre back Gabriel Magalhaes, who is one of the Juventus' main targets as Giorgio Chiellini's replacement. Juve are ready to open talks with Arsenal after the first approaches were made this week. So that is according to Nicolo Schira. If I can show you that story here, you can't see what Nicolo actually put out, claiming that there have been talks between the agent of Gabriel Magalhaes and Juventus. Of course, the agent there is called Guglielmo Bartolucci. Right, that is the name of the agent. So Nicolo Schira, one of those reliable journalists, by the way, I think is growing very fast as a transfer journalist. Is becoming one of the top journalists there in terms of transfers. Been reporting about Kylian Mbappe. I think he was first to break the Kylian Mbappe story than Fabrizio Romano. I think he's got very good sources. He was the first. He was also the first to report about Marquinhos to Arsenal. He wasn't the first really to report about the story, but he reported it faster than any credible journalist. So I think he's really growing in terms of his credibility. And there you are, him talking about Arsenal. The Arsenal should be concerned with Gabriel Magalhaes. We should be concerned with Magalhaes because in most cases you're going to have clubs like Juventus coming in for him. Now, I think I don't want to believe the story, but again, I do not have a reason not to believe it. We've been given enough information to actually try and reason out why Juventus would want to sign Gabriel Magalhaes. I think he's one of those really solid centre backs, a centre back that I think is very focused throughout 90 minutes. And Arsenal know that at this point in time, if you're going to build a backline, that is the man. Ben White is the man, regardless of Saliba, regardless of Ben White, regardless of Rob Holding, regardless of who partners with him. We've already seen that he's got the leadership. He's a very solid centre back, very good in the air, very concentrated as well. Look, he's a very young centre back. He's 23. So the mistakes that we've seen this season, one in that Crystal Palace game and a couple of others, are really going to happen throughout their careers. there is no centre back that doesn't, make mistakes at least for the first 5 years since they, since they turned 20. So from 2025, you expect them to make many mistakes. You expect them to be having lots and lots of issues, but he's a decent centre back. Now, I do not know if Juve are preparing close to 60 or 80 million euros, because I don't see in any way, or in any way, shape, or form, how Arsenal fail to get more, and I'll say that how we fail to get more than 80 million euros in Gabriel Magalhaes. His contract has 2 more years. If Arsenal decide to sell him, we should be getting more money than Ajax got in Matthias de Ligt. Because look, de Ligt is a very, very talented centre back and is a very, very good one. But so is Gabriel Magalhaes, and Brazil are looking at him as a replacement of Marquinhos, as a replacement of Thiago Silva. And for me, he will definitely get to that level. So there have been talks between the agent of the player and Juventus. But for me, what I think this is all about, I don't think the agent of the player commits to Arsenal for 4 years and then suddenly wants to take his player away. Now, we've seen agents do this with the likes of Mino Raiola, RIP, with the likes of, so many agents could do that. They could do that to you. Give your player for 2 years and then take him away to a bigger club, or a bigger project. But I don't think this is the case. I think Gabriel Magalhaes needs a new deal. The agent and representatives of the player need Arsenal to act quickly and let them know how much they're going to be getting. Because with Brazilians, it's not like Saka. It's not like Saka or Edin Ketia. With the English, it's always game time, right? And the amount of tax they're going to pay at the end of the day is very, very different from the amount of tax foreign players are going to pay. But with Brazilians, with South Americans, it's all it's about how much you can offer us, how much can you put how much can you put to the table. The moment you cannot offer him a decent contract, he's gonna walk away, and that's how things work. The moment you cannot offer him a nice contract, he's definitely 100% going to walk away. So the big story, the huge story there, lads, is that Juve are trying to extend the contract of Matthias de Ligt. That really doesn't make the rumors go away, because they're looking for someone to replace Chiellini and the likes of Bonucci. But I think they'll try to get someone else. I don't see Gabriel Magalhaes leaving Arsenal, not in any way, shape, or form, right? Not in any way, shape, or form. So I don't see that deal go through. I don't see that deal, happen anytime soon. Now, the other story that I would love to discuss this early morning is around Gabriel Jesus. Now, it has been reported for some time, and I wonder how I've not done this story until now. Is around Gabriel Jesus. Now, Gabriel Jesus is one of the players, is actually high on the radar on Arsenal. We've talked about him. We've talked about the talks with these agents and everything like that. Now, this is a deal that is very, very uncertain. It's a deal that has become very, very uncertain, given the fact that Arsenal have not qualified, or have not yet qualified, for the UEFA Champions League. And so many deals are going to become very uncertain. I think, many Arsenal fans will expect many deals to become uncertain, probably, because, these players are going to have lots of offers. Players whose contracts are running down, players whose contracts, players who are sure they're going to be on the move in the summer. They are going to have very many clubs tracking them. So the first big story comes in from Fabrizio Romano, and it says Arsenal are preparing their initial bid for Gabriel Magalhaes. There were stories that Arsenal had bid. The Arsenal had bid around 50 million euros, but that was not true. Arsenal are prepared to bid for Gabriel Jesus, and initial contacts have not yet been made with Manchester City. Right, so a bid is incoming. However, City are saying they need up to 55 million if they're going to if you're going to let Gabriel Jesus leave. And the idea there is that they think, and Guardiola thinks he could have Gabriel Jesus as a backup to Erling Haaland. For me, um, which wouldn't be actually very very bad. I know a couple of reports have already come out and said, look, if Erling Haaland comes in, then Gabriel Jesus leaves automatically. But that is not the case. There is also a world. There exists a world where those two players can play in the same team. There exists a world where those two players, Haaland and Gabriel Jesus, can stay at City. However, the agent of the player has already said he wants and he loves the Arsenal project. Rumors are flying around that they would be interested. They would still be interested in signing for Arsenal, despite the fact that the club will not have UEFA Champions League football. Now, that is what is interesting. Because, look, at first, the priority is game time, right? And then the second priority is playing with champions in the UEFA Champions League. So I think the question here is how many more clubs are interested in Gabriel Jesus? The agent says it says it's up to 6. It's up to 6 players, and it's up to 6 clubs that are interested in his in his client. So the moment for me, the moment you have more than 5 clubs interested in the player, and you do not have UEFA Champions League football, then you need to be able to guarantee that you're going to pay him well, which we have said that's going to be around 6.5 million euros, 6.5 million euros per year, which is good money. And then you have to guarantee him game time, because that is all we can offer. At the moment, we can offer the Europa League, game time for Gabriel Jesus, and money. So our initial bid is incoming. Arsenal have prepared it. We do not know the region. We do not know how heavy it is, but Manchester City have increased the price drastically from 25 million euros, where he was anticipated before he scored 4 goals against, I think, Watford, to now up to 55 million euros. Now, look, for me, I don't think Arsenal have an option. I don't think we have an option. If we were in the UEFA Champions League and everyone wants to play for us and everyone wanted to play for us, we would be in a situation where we tell clubs and we tell agents, give us your player or walk away. But we are not in that situation anymore. We are not at that level anymore. We are not there. The piece that we have now is pleading. I think the better part we have now is pleading and trying to convince players. And look, forget all about this. We don't have to convince a player to join us. All that talk from Mikel Arteta, that is absolute crap. If you want to get in the quality that we want, especially if you're going to follow the words that Mikel Arteta said, and you're going to bring in the quality that Arsenal want, the quality that we admire, you can't. You simply, and I'll say that this again, you simply cannot throw away the players' pride and players' demands because of your pride. You need to be humble. You need to be listening, right? We need to listen to we need to listen to players. We need to know what they want. And many players are going to ask for UEFA Champions League. Even our own Saka, even our own Martinelli, they'll ask for Champions League to commit their future to the club. So it's going to be, for me, it's going to be about convincing. That's it. Right, it's going to be about convincing players, making them to like, our project and things like that. But with Gabriel Jesus, 55 million, 1 year left on his contract, a lot of money, but I'll still pay it. I think Arsenal should pay that. It's a no-brainer for me. It's a no-brainer. Get that one done and move on. Right. So the Mirror as well have said that this morning that Arsenal has a short list of around 5 strikers if we fail to get Gabriel Jesus. Now, that story is also interesting, right? So Arsenal reportedly have a 5-man shortlist if Gabriel Jesus does not materialize, and those are Dominic Calvert-Lewin. I'm not surprised. I'm not really surprised. And you know why I'm not surprised is that all these players, apart from Victor Osimhen, all these players would definitely fit the profile of the UEFA Europa League. So Dominic Calvert-Lewin, number one at Everton. Taiwo Awoniyi at Union Berlin. Victor Osimhen from Napoli. Jonathan David from Lille Metropole. And Gianluca Scamacca at Sassuolo. To be realized, the only player in this category that comes close to Gabriel Jesus is Victor Osimhen. That would be tier 1. Tier 2 is where we have DCL, and the rest of them are in the third tier, are in the third grade. Gianluca Scamacca has not even played 2 seasons for Sassuolo. Not even 2 seasons for Sassuolo. Of course, we know he's gonna be on the move, but he's not that well tested. Honestly, he's not that well tested. Jonathan David, not a bad player, but I just feel he's got a lot of hype. He's a little bit overhyped. He's a little bit of overrated. And then Taiwo Awoniyi, who the hell is that guy? Who the hell is that lad? So that is the short list. If we fail to get Gabriel Jesus, those are the first 5 players we're gonna go for. And I'm telling you, lads, do not be surprised. And I'll repeat this: do not be surprised if you hear Arsenal bring in players you've never heard of. Do not be surprised if you hear Arsenal sign players you've never heard of, right? Like Taiwo Awoniyi. Because, that is what failing to go to the UEFA Champions League does. That is what failing to go to, the biggest competition in the land does. That is what it does to you. It leaves you with no options, honestly. It leaves you with no options. You either agree to sign these players like Taiwo Awoniyi and Gianluca Scamacca, or you wait another year to sign and upgrade the squad. I don't think Arsenal have that time, right? I don't think we have that time with the money and how money is trying to change football, and actually has already changed football with clubs now signing players for their own players actually for 300 million. A player to resign a new deal, 300 million. It shows you that we cannot wait any longer to upgrade our squad. We cannot take any more chances. We need to. This is the time we have. Take a chance, get that done. So the truth, the truth around it, lads, is that if Gabriel Jesus doesn't come, I don't see us to bring in a more quality signing. I don't see us to bring in a more quality signing apart from Victor Osimhen, because Osimhen wants to move. Osimhen would love to move to Arsenal, and if Arsenal are willing to pay up, if Arsenal are willing to cough up, probably. But then if not that, we are going to end up with the likes of Dominic Calvert-Lewin. We're going to end up with the likes of Gianluca Scamacca, who are not bad players, but Scamacca is not so much of an upgrade for me. He's got a lot of potential. He's he has a lot he has a lot to offer, probably as a player, but I don't feel he's the quality that Arsenal looking at, especially with all this talk of us upgrading our squad to compete with the big boys, to compete with the big teams. I don't think Scamacca then comes in as the right option, as the right player. So Gabriel Jesus, our bid is incoming. However, the agents will think twice if Arsenal do not get that deal, do not get Champions League football. They'll be thinking twice, and everyone will be thinking twice before joining Arsenal Football Club. The other story I would love to talk about is Arthur Melo as well. Now, Arthur Melo is back on the radar, on Arsenal's radar, and it's a story that I look at as one of those very, very possible, because Arthur Melo is one player that can join Arsenal regardless of whether we have UEFA Champions football or not, and that is how important that is how important UEFA Champions League is, right? When whichever player you talk about, whichever story you talk about, you've got to include it. So according to Benny Blanco, he's saying Arsenal are reportedly intending to make a formal offer of around 18.5 million for Arthur Melo, in the next week. So the story with Arthur Melo, we want him. We love the player. We wanted him in January. And I think for me, Melo would have been the difference between us and Tottenham Hotspur. Because Spurs got Dejan Kulusevski and his impact, because his impact, in that team is the reason as to why they are by far now favorites to get top four on deadline day. It's the only reason I can think about, right? So and I think Spurs was smart because they knew their games are won. Their games are won by their front three. Arsenal were dull and dumb because we know our games are won in the midfield, and we thought Partey was a machine that will never get injured. We got it wrong. For me, Arthur Melo would have been the difference. 100%, he would have been the difference. If we got Arthur Melo in January, we would be very, very far. But Arthur Melo, of course, is one player that Arsenal really, really admire, one player that we really, really love to bring in the side. I think Arsenal will definitely try to get him this summer, like it's been reported. The story is that we do not want to get him on a loan deal this time, like it was in January. We want to sign him on a permanent. And I think that is true. And that is a sensible deal. I don't know why. Look, if we get him in the summer, it would be very, very, it would be very interesting because it won't make any sense for me. We rejected a chance to sign him on a 2-year loan deal, and then eventually sign him on a permanent. And we also refused to sign him on a permanent in January, right? If we sign him in the summer, yet it would have been the same player who would have taken us to the UEFA Champions League. That when signing, I would be amused. I would be really, really amazed. But according to Fabrizio, according to Gianluca Di Marzio, he's one of the main midfield targets that Arsenal love. And for me, after failing to get Dusan Vlahovic, there was no reason why Arsenal didn't get £20 million, put it on the table for Juventus, and get Arthur Melo. There was no reason. But of course, a deal is expected to be offered to Juventus. Now, Juve, I've actually said before that if Arsenal are going to negotiate a deal with them for Arthur Melo, they should, certainly, and I don't agree with this, but they should certainly include Gabriel Magalhaes in the discussions. That is so wise from Juventus. That is very, very clever from Juventus. But I don't think Arsenal should do that. I don't think we are under any pressure to do that, because Juve know, and if they don't know, they should know that at any point in time, Arsenal can go out there and get a midfielder that we want. There's no question about that. We can go out there and get Tillemans. We can get Ruben Neves by paying the money. We can get Boubacar Kamara. We can get anyone. So for me, I do not see why we should include Gabriel Magalhaes in the deal for Arthur Melo. The two of them do not even match. I think Gabriel Magalhaes' deal would be around 70 million euros if Arsenal are good at business. 70 million and above, right? Not anything less than that. And then the Arthur Melo deal would be 18.5 million. There is nothing similar. There is nothing similar in those deals. Good morning to you, Chinedu. He says, good morning, Cossy. Alonso says, Aaron Hike to Arsenal. Is it a done deal? Samuel says, please go for Trossard from Brighton. Timo says, hi, Cossy. And John says, we are in need of Jesus at Arsenal now. Good morning. Type good morning in the chat. It's quite a beautiful morning, and of course it's a Sunday. We expect lots and lots of drama today as Spurs take on Norwich and Arsenal take on Everton Football Club. We're going to get to that game in a minute. Now, the other story I want us to talk about here is Boubacar Kamara and Paulo Dybala. Two players that have been strongly linked with Arsenal, and I think they're not bad players, really. They're not bad players. So Babaka Kamara and Paulo Dybala, both players on Arsenal's radar and available on a free transfer this summer, as reported by the AFC report. So I've talked about Babaka Kamara before and Paulo Dybala. The agents of Paulo Dybala flew to England, and there is information and confirmation that there were discussions between Arsenal and the agents of the player. However, the priority of Dybala was always Inter Milan. Tottenham Hotspur is not even an option to him. So it is either Arsenal or Inter Milan. The player will wait for Arsenal to get to the UEFA Champions League. Please keep on waiting, bro. Keep on waiting, Paolo, because it's gonna take some time, right? It's gonna take some time. Because the initial stories that actually came out of Italy this week were that Arsenal will get to sign Paulo Dybala. I saw that on FTV as well. I saw them reacting to the story. That they didn't report the story; they were reacting to it. They were saying that I think it was it DiMarzio? I don't think it was DiMarzio who reported that the player will be joining Arsenal if we get UEFA Champions League. One of the advantages we have in the Paulo Dybala deal is that we have cleared the deck, like Mikelata said. We have cleared the deck, and now we are in pole position to bring in players, especially now that our wage bill is okay. So we can pay around 7.5 to 10 million for a player like Paulo Dybala who comes in a free on a free. So if we can pay around 7.5 million for Paulo Dybala and pay 6.5 million for Gabriel Jesus, I think that would be very, very smart business. But the first option is UEFA Champions League football. Dybala wants UEFA Champions football. His agents flew to the UK, flew to London to speak with Manchester United, to speak with Tottenham and Arsenal. Inter Milan, according to Nicola Shearer, Inter Milan always the favorites, but it will depend on two conditions. Can they pay him the salary he wants? Because it's, for me, with Dybala, yes, it might be UEFA Champions League, but it is not the big factor. It is not the only factor, because he could have stayed at Juve. Juve have qualified for UEFA Champions League in Italy. He could have stayed at Juve, but he didn't stay at Juventus. The reason they failed to reach that, to reach a consensus between between the two parties on how much the player will be earning. So for me, look, I think it was Romano last summer who said these are the kind of deals Arsenal should be doing. It was last summer, and he said the reason is Dybala is available. He's a quality player, and you can easily beat Juventus at the wages of the player. And I think he's spot on, right? Right now, what Arsenal need to do is to make sure that we pay Dybala higher wages than any other team, right? All the teams that are in this stress would be, apart from United, would be wanting to pay him around 6.5 to 7. Can we just give him 8, right? Just give him 8 million euros per year on it. He's coming in on a free 4-year deal. I think that would be good business, and that's how you get quality. That's how you buy quality when you're not in the UEFA Champions League. United have done it, and I think United are not going to be, are not going to suffer with this, in this transfer market. One, they have a lot of money, and the other thing is that they're specialists at signing in good players while out of Europe, while out of the UEFA Champions League. They've done it. They've done it with Paul Pogba, and it definitely worked out. It really, really definitely worked out. So I think that is the same strategy Arsenal need to do. Pay the money. Just give him the money. Give him 8 million euros that no other club is giving him, and bring him in. Get 55 million, pay for Gabriel Jesus, and give him the salary that no one is giving him, and bring them in. Make sure that they work. That is the next part, right? Get them in and make sure that they work. Now, for Boubacar Kamara, I still have a feeling that any club that is serious this summer will take Boubacar Kamara. Linked with Manchester United, linked with Tottenham Hotspur, linked with West Ham as well, I think, and a couple of other clubs in Spain. Boubacar Kamara for me would be a very, very good backup player, a player for the UEFA Europa League. I'm more than certain that Arsenal will get in around one or two very good midfielders, and for me, Boubacar Kamara would be the man. Honestly, he would be the man. Now, to answer the question about Aaron Hickey is not a done deal to Arsenal. However, Arsenal are still exploring the option of bringing two players, of bringing those two players from Italy, Noel Molina from Udinese and Aaron Hickey. It is not a done deal. It is not a total agreement. Otherwise, if it was a total agreement, there would be no stories of Arsenal still trying to purchase another, trying to purchase Noel Molina. So it is not a done deal. There is no total agreement between Arsenal and Aaron Hickey. We do not have a total agreement. Now, in the chat, someone talked about Leandro Trossard. I love Trossard. I really, really love Trossard, but I have a problem with Leandro Trossard. I don't feel Trossard is to bring in Trossard. I would rather bring in Alan Saint-Maxima. I feel Leandro Trossard's ceiling is not very, very far. He's very, very talented. Don't get me wrong. He's very, very talented as a player. But why do I feel that would Arsenal get lots by signing him? No. It's a deal that I wouldn't really risk for, right? I would go for Gnabry. I would try to get Gnabry. I would go for Cody Gakpo. I'll try to get Rafinha. I'll probably get Richarlison. But with Leandro Trossard, I love him, but I love him as a Brighton player. Nothing more. I love him as Leandro Trossard, Neil Maupay. I love them as Brighton players. The only Brighton players I would sign from Brighton, Bissouma. I would get Bissouma. I would get Marco Corella, the left back. I'd get Tariq Lamptey. I would get I'll get Sanchez, their goalkeeper. Oh my God, he's got very, very good reflexes. Those are the players I think I would get from Brighton, right? Not everyone, really, not everyone. I would get around 4 players from from there, right? Around 4 players from there. So the point there, lads, is that Boubacar Kamara. I want to talk about. I was talking about Boubacar Kamara. Now, saying in terms of squad depth, in terms of options, he's one reliable guy. You can definitely go and get him, and you're never gonna regret it. You will never regret signing Boubacar Kamara. Not going to ask for game time a lot, but obviously, if you can give him a lot of game time in the UEFA Europa League, I think he can really handle that stage, especially in the group stages. Right. So that's it with today's transfer talk. Let's get to today and what I expect to see and what we want to see. So to start, the start would be welcoming back Thomas Partey. Partey is back in training. I don't think he will have a part to play in today's game. If he plays in this game, I would be very, very surprised. But Partey is back. Thomas Partey is back in training. So I think we'll see him. We'll see much of him in preseason. Yeah, he's back. But for me, lads, let me tell you, we definitely need to go out there and get a replacement to Thomas Partey. And by replacement, I mean a replacement. So I'm not trying to say that Partey should be thrown out of the team. Don't get me wrong. No, that's not what I mean. What I'm trying to talk about here is that Arsenal desperately need to find someone who can give us what Partey gives us. In this summer, That should be one of the priorities. I love your show. Thank you so much, Martha. Suta, morning, Cossy. Morning to you. Hope you're doing well, Martha. Oli says, but it depends on how much he will pay. Kamara. Kamara is a free agent. Oli. Kamara is a free agent. And that's one of the reasons why I would definitely love to take him at Arsenal. Kamara is a free agent. Right? Kamara is a free agent. That is, look, we failed to get in Dennis Zakaria, and it still hurts me. We failed to get in Bruno Guimaraes, and it still hurts me. Because look, if Guimaraes made sure that Newcastle do not get relegated, he would have made sure that Arsenal do not miss Thomas Partey, and we see it through to the UEFA Champions League. Guimaraes, there is no reason why Arsenal failed to get Bruno Guimaraes. Okay, the only reason I would think about is that Mikel wants someone to play alongside Martin Odegaard in that midfield. He wants someone like Bernardo Silva, right? He wants Odegaard to be his kind of Kevin De Bruyne, and he wants someone who can play like that role of Bernardo Silva. One player who can take the team on his shoulders. One player who can take matters in his own hands. Defensively able, offensively able, and very, very reliable. And I think that's why we've been linked with Ike Gundogan. But Boubacar Kamara, lads, would come in on a free. So there is nothing to be afraid of. There is nothing to be afraid of. Okay. And John tells me that Dybala is a free player, Cossy. If yes, there is need for us to go for him to strengthen that flank. Thank you so much, John. I totally agree with you. With free agents, they just give you the chance to get in that extra piece of quality on a free. That's it. Extra piece of quality on a free. And all it says, it's mad. We are paying 50 million for Gabriel, especially as we are relying on him to play well. Okay. And Moses says, how I wish we got Bissouma. The Arsenal says, sign Jesus. Okay. Now, listen. With Bissouma, I think, it points to the fact that I've said we need someone to cover for Thomas Partey. We need someone who can be patient enough. Look, many clubs want Bissouma. That is only hypothetical. But if we go into reality, how many clubs want to give us Bissouma? Really? How many clubs? Because Liverpool, I'm interested in Aurelien Tchouameni. United, I don't see them interested in Bissouma, really. And despite the fact he's rock solid and everything, I don't see him as the player Erik Ten Hag would want to take as priority. I think with Ten Hag, he would bring in a player like Ruben Neves, because Ruben Neves has got the potential to be your Lodri. Sit in that midfield, govern it, make sure that the ball is played very well, make sure that you win your duels very well, and things like that. So you have Bissouma available, but not so many clubs are looking at him actually. So if Arsenal can get him, because with Brighton there is no future for Bissouma, and you bring him in at Arsenal, you tell him we are going to give you UEFA Europa League. Actually, I think with Bissouma, you don't need a lot of convincing. The player already wants to play for Arsenal. You don't need a lot of convincing with Yves Bissouma. You don't need a lot of convincing. It's all about talking to Brighton, bringing the player. I think Bissouma is 24 and Thomas Partey is 28. An injury-prone 28-year-old who is very, very good, by the way, when he's fit, should not be a threat to a 24-year-old, because Bissouma can wait for 2 good years while representing Arsenal in Europe, in the Europa League and everything, and the FA Cup and the Carling Cup. He can wait for 2 years and then slowly, take up Thomas Partey's place. Because let me tell you this, lads. Thomas Partey is not going to be in that place forever, Arsenal. You look at his age and you look at the age bracket of the players around him, at some point in time, he's going to become, a Fernandino. You see what's happening with Fernandino. Rodri has taken up his place, right? And Fernandino has become an advisor, right? He's taken on that advisory role, in that position. He just comes in the 90s, game management and things like that, and at times, he's not even doing it very well. So for me, Bissouma would be smart signing, not one that comes in to start every game, but a smart signing that, if you want to play Manchester City and you want to work harder than Man City and you want to make the game physical for Manchester City and you want to block Manchester City's passing lanes, you play Partey and Bissouma, right? You can play Partey, Bissouma, and in a pivot, and that makes sure that you have the work rate that you need to match the energy of a club like Manchester City. Probably not match them, because that would be over exaggerated, but you would have the energy to live with them probably throughout 90 minutes. Lukaku is the striker we need. Guy Wills. Sunday says Arsenal is not serious about getting good players. That is what cost them UCL football. And Kate says, I've been following you here. Been following you here, but never meet up with live section. Okay. You've never been live. You've never met me live. I do a lot of live streams. I do a lot of live streams. Jonah says, always wake up to check the channel. Thank you so much, Jonah. Thank you so much, Jonah. I really appreciate. Now, listen. Gilwell talks about Lukaku, and I'm going to talk about Lukaku in a minute, right? And I'm going to talk about Lukaku in a minute. But I want to ask you, lads, is 55 million too much for Gabriel Jesus, provided that his contract is running down this next summer? Is it too much? How much would you pay? Because for me, honestly, if you ask me the real value, the true value of that lad, I would say around 35 mil. Around 35 million. We should pay around 35 million. That would do the deal for me. I think that would do the deal. 35 million. But regardless of how much we are going to pay, he's a quality player. But for me, 35 million pounds, that would be what I would pay. Now, Gilwell talks about Romelu Lukaku. I've done videos of one player outside from every Premier League team. And when it came to Chelsea, I said I would take Romelu Lukaku. And many people told me, don't talk about Romelu Lukaku. If we put the financial part of the deal behind us, I think Arsenal are looking at someone like Romelu Lukaku. Now, the problem with Chelsea, and I've seen them play a lot this season. Trust me, I've seen them. My problem with Chelsea is that ball that goes into Romelu Lukaku seldom comes around, right? And we look at, what I love about Lukaku is one player that, he just needs the ball to be played in his path. He just needs the ball to be played in the air, at a height where he can meet it. He just needs the ball to be played into his feet. That is what that is all you need to do. His hold-up play is not the worst in the league. I think Chelsea does not. I don't think Chelsea are doing him a service. I don't think Chelsea are doing him a very, very good service. I don't think that. I don't think that way. I think Chelsea are actually, if in any case, they're actually doing him a huge disservice. A huge, huge disservice. But would Romelu Lukaku fit in Arsenal? 100%. I think Romelu Lukaku has the ability, first and foremost, to help on other players, with their game, the likes of Saka and Martinelli, by drawing numbers to himself, because he's a very, very huge centre back. and he attracts a lot of attention from fullbacks and centre backs. So there is no way you leave him alone, right? So it's so hard for it would be so hard for three defenders to pile on Saka and leave Romelu Lukaku alone. For me, look, there's so many advantages that would come with getting a player like Romelu Lukaku. The only disadvantage is the financial structure of this deal. We can't afford to pay the 90 million euros. We can afford to pay that, but the wages and everything. But for me, it would be a good deal. I'll definitely take Lukaku. I don't care what people say. I would definitely take Lukaku. A striker that can score for me 20 goals, I think he can. A striker that can help out the likes of Saka and Martinelli, I think he can. What else do I need? And it's one player that would bring out the best in Martin Odegaard. Because what Odegaard is lacking, he lacks that player that can that can run, that can make those runs, right? And you've already seen Odegaard when Edin Ketia is on the pitch. He's always happy. He's always happy to see players like Nketiah on the pitch, because he finally gets the chance to play that ball, to play that ball through the lines, just to do his thing. That's what midfielders want. Midfielders are so interested in players like Gabriel Jesus, right? Because they fall back and they help out. But the truth is, midfielders love players like Gabriel Jesus, like Romelu Lukaku, because they allow them, play that ball. Like Martin Odegaard, he loves playing that through ball. And the more players you have that are goal oriented, that's why for me, I think Odegaard plays predominantly on the right hand side of the pitch where Saka is, because Saka is forward thinking. Saka does not think about going behind, passing back and coming back and passing in behind. Doesn't think about that. He's always thinking either he's running in behind or he's thinking about getting that ball and carrying it forward. That is why players like Odegaard will always thrive if you have a player like Saka on the pitch, because he allows you create chances. That is what Romelu Lukaku would do. He allows players like Odegaard, he allows players like Smith Rowe create chances. Now, Smith Rowe is not a number 10, and he predominantly doesn't play as a 10, and he doesn't want to play as a 10, and I understand. He wants to play as a false 9. He wants to play on the flanks, right? And I think he's so good at doing his thing. But all the time, when Smith Rowe gets to the to the edge of the box, he's thinking, where is my striker? Where do I put that ball? Before thinking about, because for me, if you have a player like Romelu Lukaku, then your wingers will score many goals. Your forwards will score many goals, because that those rebounds are always gonna come very often, right? Because the more you cross in those balls, and it's trying to fight for them in the air, the more you have your strikers picking up, your forwards picking up the remains. For me, Lukaku is okay, by my standards. Lukaku would be okay, by the way, very, very okay. But I don't know what you people think. I need to know. Okay. Hello, Cossy. Instead of paying that amount on Jesus, why not spend on Nunes, because he has what we need as a striker? Now, the difference between these two deals is that we can negotiate with Gabriel Jesus without UEFA Champions League football, but we cannot negotiate without UEFA Champions League football. We cannot negotiate without UEFA Champions League football for Darwin Nunes. That's the difference. Chinedu says Odegaard is still far from Bernardo and very, very, very far away. But then you need to know that how many seasons has Kevin De Bruyne played at City? How many seasons has Bernardo Silva played? Has Bernardo Silva played at Man City and at Monaco at the top level. You've got to ask that. So this is it. Kevin De Bruyne started playing for Manchester City in 2015, 2016. All right. Actually, you could argue that this is one of his best seasons because he has created 7 assists and scored 15 goals for Manchester City. 15 goals, right? But in 2015, he only scored 7 and assisted 9 times. In 2016, 17, he only scored 6 and assisted 18 times, right? Of course, the only bad season that I see here is 2018, 2019, where he scored 2 goals and assisted 2 times, but he had 19 appearances. Don't know what happened there. Probably was it injuries or anything like that. So, look, Kevin De Bruyne has played 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 seasons in the Premier League. 7 seasons in the Premier League. He joined Manchester City while he was 23, and 7 years later he's 30 and is the player that they want. So Odegaard has got the potential to become that as well. Bernardo Silva, on the other hand, how many seasons has he played for City? You'll be surprised. Bernardo Silva has played 5. This is his 5th season at Manchester City. And of course, his numbers are very, very good. Yeah. But of course, he's one of those players that actually play a lot of games, 35, 36 games, 34. And this season is already played 34. But, so this is his 5th season at City. There is no way you're comparing Odegaard to these lads who have Odegaard who has only played 1 season. But I agree with you. He's still far away, but he will get there. There's no question about that. He will definitely get there. He's only 23. Bernardo is 27. Kevin De Bruyne is 30. So he will get there for me. He will get there, in time. Lukaku is a dangerous striker. He only struggles because he's playing with selfish headless players like Werner, Mount, and Kai Havertz. Oli Watkins is the best striker, says Fred. Keith says, I think Jesus is worth that amount. Arsenal are always reluctant in buying players. Gabriel says, so trust they never play Lukaku the ball, even though he has made the most dangerous. Trust me. I think I know where you're coming from, and I know what you mean. I've seen Chelsea. I've watched Chelsea. I think the most creative players at Chelsea, Reece James, is the player that I look at, and is always trying to locate players in the penalty area. But Hakim Ziyech is looking to get that banana curled in. And you don't blame him because that is what he's good at. So he's always looking for that banana to curl in. Timo Werner, I always don't see Timo Werner trying to square balls. Werner is running in behind very well. He's got the pace, but he wants to score. Kai Havertz always plays as a false 9. So the moment he's through on goal, he's looking to score as well, right? Okay. Fred says, you're talking about Champions League needed, so that Nunes will come to Arsenal. Manchester United want the player, but they didn't make UEFA Champions League spot. Now, look, I've spoken about United. And I said the reason that's why you cannot compare yourself to United is United are not different from PSG. United can give Darwin Nunes a contract worth 150k per week. And also, the fact that I talked about UEFA Champions League was because Di Marzio and Fabrizio feel that the player would be joining or would prefer to join a club that has UEFA Champions football. But if we do not have UEFA Champions League, are we in a good position to sign him up? I don't think. I honestly don't. I honestly do not think. Yeah. Look, there are players we can sign without UEFA Champions League. Like I said, Dybala can't be brought in without Champions League. Um, Alexander Isak can be brought in without Champions League. You lot loved him in January. I've taken a long time without actually checking on that guy, right? But Isak can come in without UEFA Champions League football and a couple of other players. But with Darwin Nunes, it's gonna be competition. It's not going to be a free run. It's going to be competition. You're going to have, I've seen Bayern want to replace him um, with Robert Lewandowski. If Lewandowski leaves, then Darwin Nunes could go there. I've seen that. United is interested, and a couple of other clubs. So it's not going to be an easy one. It's going to be a bidding war. Can Arsenal sustain a bidding war? That's the question. Can we sustain a bidding war? Probably. Probably. But for me, it's not wise for us not to go in a bidding war for a player who's ultimately going to choose another club over us than saying, because we had a chance to get Darwin Nunes in January. We had a chance. 50 million were rejected. But what if we paid 70 then? Because that's what Liverpool did. Liverpool threw the money at Luis Diaz. And they got him. So our better chance was to get him in January. And I think Arsenal reluctantly failed. So for me, look, I won't be surprised if in the end it is Osimhen and another striker. And I would love Osimhen. Yeah, I would really, really love Osimhen. My problem with Osimhen is the price. Yeah, it's the price. Osimhen's price a little bit. It's a little bit over. It's a little bit over exaggerated. Please, Cossy, we are not in need of free players, but real players that will make a change for us. Okay. And Arthur says, what is proposed Bukayo Saka's clause set to be in his new contract? Alex says Gabriel is worth 35 to 40 million. Okay, so thank you so much, Alex. Arthur, the release clause that is being proposed, the release clause that is being proposed for Bukayo Saka is not yet set. We do not know if Arsenal are going to make it 100 million or more. We do not know. But Arsenal do not want to include a release clause in the player's contract. We are just under pressure. So the plan is that the player would want an exit, would want a way out if Arsenal fail to progress. And you understand that. So the release clause is being suggested by Saka's camp. Arsenal do not want it, and we're trying to make sure that it does not happen. Can we make sure that it doesn't happen? Me and you. Trust me, me and you. But at the moment, we do not know the release clause. Now, the last comment says that we do not need free players. This is according to John. John, free players are not bad. It is not always that free players are the bad players. For example, Paulo Dybala's contract not being extended was not. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing that Paulo Dybala's contract was not extended. It was failure. It was failure to agree on the price. I mean, there is no shame in that. There is no shame in that. So there is no shame in us not going for Paulo Dybala, because Dybala is definitely a quality player. Definitely. Right? So he's a free player, yes, but one that I would take. Like Pogba moving to Juve. Pogba is a quality player. Look, there's so many problems. He's inconsistent. Plays very, very few, few games and injury prone. But Pogba is a free agent, but Pogba is a quality player. Players become free agents because of various reasons, right? Look at Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. We didn't get him on a free, but he was about to become a free agent. Look at players like Hendrik Mkhitaryan. one of the best players when he was a Dortmund. But look at the money he worked for. So at times, at times, you don't want to risk losing the player, on a free, and you sell him at cheap. Or at times, you decide to lose the player on a free, right? Let him complete the season, and you lose him on a free. That's it. So there is no shame in that for me. There is no shame in that. And let me tell you, any club that will take Alexander Lacazette will not be taking the worst striker in the world. And I won't be surprised if Lacazette goes to probably Juve or Atletico Madrid, and in his first season he scores 15 goals, right? So free players are not bad. It depends what is the quality and what do you intend to achieve by signing a free player. What do you intend to achieve? For example, Mbappe has been free. Mbappe has been on his way to Real Madrid for free. So should we say that Arsenal should not sign Mbappe because Mbappe is free? I mean, it's debatable, isn't it? It's debatable. So, to be real, to be sure, free players are not the worst players in the world. They are not free because they are the worst. Some players are free because they are bad, but some players are not free. Are not free because they're bad. Okay. So thank you so much, John. Kate says Dybala is a good player. Arsenal can get him. And I think it's one of those deals we can easily do and do not regret. Because with Paulo Dybala, let's look at let me show you what he's done in a couple of seasons, and you will decide whether Arsenal need him or not. So that is Paulo Dybala since 2016. In 2016, he 16-17, 31 games, 11 goals, 7 assists. 2017-2018, 33 games, 22 fucking goals. There is a player in there. There is a player in there, lads. 22 goals, 5 assists. 2018, 5 goals, 4 assists, dropped off the cliff. 2019-2020, 11 goals, 6 assists. 2020-2021, 4 goals, 3 assists. And 2021-2022, 10 goals, 5 assists, right? Tell me that when you get this guy on a free, you don't want him. Tell me that when you get Dybala on a free, you do not want him. His age is 28 at the moment. I'm kind of surprised, but I shouldn't be surprised because he's really played a lot of seasons at Juve. He's played actually. Look, in his first campaign, he had 19 goals. He's one player. Look, 19 goals, 11, 22, 11, 10. A player who is capable of getting you those double figures, right? A player who's capable of getting you those double figures in the league. This is only in the Italian Serie A. 22 goals. Just imagine if you have Paulo Dybala scoring for you 22 goals. Okay, on average, because this is 19, 20, 11, 11, 10. So on average, he scores 15 goals per campaign. On average. That's no bad deal. That is no bad deal. You give him a 4-year contract. By the time he's 31, you had him an extra year, goes to 32, you sell him off, or he goes on a free. Depends. I don't think it's a bad deal. He's a great player. I know many Arsenal fans could be skeptical about this one, but for me, he's a great player. He is a great player. Very, very good player. Look. These are his numbers in the UEFA Champions League, right? 7 matches, 1 goal in 16. These are 4 goals in 11. This is 1 goal in 8, 5 goals in 9 matches, 3 goals in 8, 1 in 5, and 3 in 5 this season, right? So a player who can play for you on Europe and also in the league consistently. That is what Arsenal are looking for. Don't lie to yourselves. That is what Arsenal are looking for, right? That is what Arsenal are looking for. A player who can, who can play in big games. I think he can. A player who's done it on a big stage. I think Dybala can. Look, I don't think Juventus are gonna miss him because they have Vlahovic now. They have Federico Chiesa. They have Dennis Zakaria and a couple of other players in there, right? Weston McKennie as well. I think is so interesting to watch, right? So they will miss him, but it's not a big hole. But if he comes to Arsenal, he's a big addition, very big addition. Sunday says, "Good morning, Cossy. There are lots of good players that Arsenal can buy that will not be demanding for UCL if Arsenal is serious." Great point. Great point. Great point. Because at the end of the day, we cannot sit back and start mourning about Arsenal not getting UEFA Champions League. We cannot sit back and start mourning about it. Look, the players are there. Bissouma in midfield works well. Lucas Paqueta can come in. I'm very super convinced. Sorry about that. Asamoah as well has had a good season at Lyon. Can come in. Still very young. At right back, you have Max Aarons, Norwich City. You could bring him in as a cover. Tino Livramento can come in at left back. There's so many players that can come. So we cannot. It won't be a reason for Arsenal to be mourning about our lack of UEFA Champions League. Let's go see which players are leaving this club in this window. Because I believe Deadwood, like Laka, Pepe, and Mo should be allowed to go. Okay, so players that are leaving the club. I think 5 players. We will see 5 players leave. 3 contracts expire this summer. Laka, Nketiah, and El Neni. I think two of those 3 or 3 of them will leave. Leno will leave we will sell Leno, not in free, but Leno will be leaving the club, and I think Ainsley Maitland-Niles will be leaving as well. Yeah, Ainsley will be leaving as well. Xhaka will stay. Yeah, Xhaka will stay. Yeah, I think those are the players I can think of. Cedric is debatable. Yeah, Cedric is debatable. I think if Arsenal getting a right back, then Cedric will leave. But if Arsenal don't get in a right back, then Cedric will stay. The problem in here is that we have 19 players to fill a 25-man squad because we're going to have 5 substitutions next season. So you need around 6 players to come in, and also you're going to let go of around 4 to 5 players. So you cannot bring in 9 players in one window or 10 players in one window. So I think some players will stay around as the rebuild and cleaning of the squad goes. But I think Pepe, Laka, Nketiah, El Neni, Cedric, Leno, Ainsley Maitland-Niles, around 7 players will face the exit, and probably of those, I expect 4 to 5 to leave. But of course, I will do a video about players that should leave and players that I expect to go. Sell Laka, El Neni, Nketiah, Xhaka, Cedric. Oh my God, that's a lot of clear out. Cossy is Jesus. Cossy is Jesus. Gabriel Jesus also for Champions League spot. Yes, but with Gabriel Jesus, his move does not greatly depend on UEFA Champions football. Other clubs are interested. The player would love to play in the competition, but there is also the reunion with Mikel Arteta that could play a big part in that transfer. And then there is also the fact that he's going to be the lead man at a big club like Arsenal, the lead striker at a big club like Arsenal. That is also put into consideration. So look, for me, this deal has around 10% chances of collapsing. only 10%, right? The only way we can fail to get him if another club pays more money to Manchester City than we do. For example, if you're talking about 35 and probably Barca come in and pay 45, they will take him. But if we can pay the money that City want, and if we can pay the salary that the player wants, and we can guarantee him game time, that deal will happen. That deal will most likely happen. Philip says, Cossy, what is the defender from Bologna? How far? What of the defender from the Bologna? How far is it there? You're talking about Aaron Hickey. Now, many of you have been told that Aaron Hickey is signing for Arsenal very, very soon. I hope to regret to tell you that that is not the case. I've seen the stories, but they are not coming in from reliable sources. You see, Bruno Guimaraes changes Newcastle. We delay too much. Honestly, I've talked about Bruno Guimaraes, and I did a video on 99 Sport on my second channel, and I was talking about how Bruno Guimaraes would definitely change Newcastle. Because with Guimaraes, one thing you love about him is that there is nothing he can't do as a midfielder. And that is one thing that Arsenal lack. We lack a midfielder like Santi Cazorla. And I've already talked about the likes of Santi Cazorla, right? Because with Cazorla, there is nothing. There is nothing he wouldn't do. He plays with both feet. He runs. Game management is okay. Happy to keep the ball. Happy to take on players. He was always going to throw himself in line, in the line of fire. He was just a good player. He was just a good player. Just a good player. Right? So with Bruno Guimaraes, he could have done a lot at Arsenal, but there is no doubt that Newcastle are also going to be building something big. And I think what they told him is that we are building a new project and you're going to be the center of that project. And they didn't lie. Bruno Guimaraes is a player you can rely on for 20 years. His quality is there and he's only going to get better. That is one thing I really wanted. One reason I really wanted to get him. That, as you look to improve the project, you need players that are always going to get better. Bruno Guimaraes is one of them. Trust me, what we've seen this season, we'll see more, unless otherwise, but we will see more. Arsenal wasting a lot of time should sign the quality players that are on a free transfer, like Paulo Dybala. Okay, so for Aaron Hickey, deal is not closed. I hope to regret. I regret telling you that. Okay. Cossy, I really like your commentary, and today is the first day to get you live. Continue to do more. I appreciate you. Thank you so much, John. I promise I'll do more live streams. I will do more live streams. Genesaya, will come to the stream. We need Lautaro Martinez. He's a goal scorer and good holder player. And Paqueta in midfield. I think if there is an advocate on this channel for Lautaro Martinez, is Genesaya. But Jens, the problem with Lautaro Martinez is he turned down our project last summer and he felt the project was not good enough. I do not think we have done any better to convince him otherwise. The only step that we could have taken would have been going to the UEFA Champions League. If we had gone back to the UEFA Champions League, there would have been lots of chances. There would have been, it's easy to appeal to a player that you rejected us because we never had UEFA Champions League. You rejected us because the project was not convincing. Now, we have brought in 6 players, and in this summer, we are going to buy 4 more players, starting with you. If I'm Lautaro Martinez, I would be skeptical about Arsenal because there are other clubs interested in him, Barcelona, and Atletico Madrid. So with Lautaro, it could be a difficult one. With Lucas Paqueta, it is how much we can pay. Yeah, with Lucas Paqueta, it's how much we can pay Lyon. I don't think there's going to be a lot of competition on him as a player, something that I really, really love. But it's always how much can you pay? Can you pay over the odds? Can you pay the 80 million euros that is being asked for by Lyon? If you cannot, then of course we know Jean-Michel Aulas and Lyon are very, very hard nuts to crack in terms of getting deals done. Good morning, Cossy. What about Victor Osimhen? Victor Osimhen, how did I fail? How did we fail to talk about Victor Osimhen this morning? Victor Osimhen, Arsenal have had their first bid or offer turned down by Napoli. Now, it was 90 million euros, like I reported yesterday. Napoli want 110 million euros, which would be around 90 to 95 million pounds. The feeling in Napoli and in Italy generally is that they do not want to let go. Napoli do not want to sell Victor Osimhen. They are not ready to sell Victor Osimhen. They want him to stay. They want him to be in and around the club. They want him to be at the club for another at least 1 or 2 years. I think to be precisely clear, Napoli Napoli, what they want, because if you're going to sell him this summer, he's done well. He's already recorded double figures, 14 goals this season, 10 goals last season, so he's improved a little bit. But I think they feel that next season is going to be the year when he explodes. And trust me, if next season Victor Osimhen scores 20 goals and then is competing directly with the likes of Dusan Blahovic, then you can even get 100 million pounds. You can even get 110 million pounds. You can easily do that. But I think Napoli will sell. I won't be surprised if Arsenal get him for around 90 million euros. I think we will need to break our transfer record to bring him in. And I know Arsenal will go back and try to sign him, right? Mikel wants him, and he really appreciates the player. But our first offer was turned down. We are not close to that one. Bruno had a good game against Arsenal last time, but he is Newcastle quality for me. I don't see anything special. No, Keith. No, Keith. We are not doing this. We are not doing this. We are not doing this, Keith. I mean, let me know, lads. Is Bruno Guimaraes not Arsenal quality? No, we cannot do this. We cannot do this. I disagree. I mean, I feel the resentment towards him. I feel the sarcasticity, but he's a quality player. He can play. I think in the Premier League, Bruno Guimaraes, apart from Liverpool and City, he doesn't walk straight in, but he can be on their bench. But the rest of the teams, he can't walk straight in. He can't walk straight into any midfield in that Premier League. Probably, maybe Chelsea could be an exception because they have N'Golo Conte and Jorginho, right? And Kovacic. So maybe he doesn't just walk in. But Arsenal Football Club, he walks in. He walks in. Trust me, he walks in. He walks in. Yeah, he's Arsenal quality, lads. He's Arsenal quality. We cannot have this debate. He's Arsenal quality. Guimaraes is back, is perfect for Arsenal. Thank you so much, Jenzai. Gabriel is a proven EPL striker than Osimhen. Signed Jesus, not Osimhen. Okay. Gabriel says, if anything, Bruno is better. He is better than all the midfielders that we have at the moment, apart from Thomas Partey. Yeah, apart from Thomas Partey. The rest, I think they don't come close to him. If Bruno is at loan at Newcastle, then we can go for him. Bruno is not on loan at Newcastle, Philip. He's signed on a permanent. He's not on loan. Cossy getting you clear in Qatar. Oh, big up to you lads in Qatar. Make sure you do get involved in our daily podcast on a daily basis by subscribing and hitting the notification bell. When you turn on the notification bell, you'll be able to get every podcast that I do, and you'll be able to see me live, because many of these podcasts come out live. And also, we need to support our channel, lads. I've seen many people do support their content creators and channels. We need to support our channel, so make sure you do support the channel. My numbers are in the description, but also you can use a super chat because the channel is monetized. So you can use the super chat button and the dollar sign. Massively appreciated if you do that. Guimaraes never wanted to play for Arsenal. No. This is what happens all the time. Arsenal blaming players that they never wanted to come to us. The truth is that in many times, Arsenal fails, to get these deals done. We fail to get these deals over the line. It is known that players never want to come to us. It's not that players never want to play for Arsenal. It's the fact that at times we don't do enough to bring in the players. With Bruno Guimaraes, it was our own weakness. And it was our own weakness because, right? It was our own weakness because you have you are having a technical director who is Brazilian, and he held talks with with a fellow Brazilian, and you thought Arsenal could get this over the line. And the moment that we didn't do that, right? The moment that we failed, to do that, we cannot just blame it on we cannot just blame it on the player that he never wanted. For example, let me give you a very good example of William Saliba. Saliba could leave Arsenal. And many people will, in the end, will say, oh, Cossy, in the end, Saliba never really liked Arsenal. But the truth is that Arsenal did not try to do enough, enough with William Saliba to make sure that he stays. We never. And that's why I think personally, with Bruno Guimaraes, it was our own weakness, right? We could have bought him last summer, even before Newcastle got the money. You remember? We could have got him last summer. And we failed. Edu failed at that. Time to blame ourselves, for once. Cossy, has Thomas Partey been good for us, Wells? Look, has Thomas Partey been good for us? The truth is that the level at which Arsenal depend or have depended on Thomas Partey this season has been absolutely atrocious. So it is hard for me to say that he's not been good. The problem is that he cannot keep himself fit. That's it. But remember, Arsenal lose more games when he's away, and we win more when he's in. Right? So has he been good for us? Yes, he's been good for us. First and foremost, he's been that player who leads the midfield. Because for me, the quality of Arsenal's midfield is not the quality we want. Look at City. City have De Bruyne, Rodri, and Bernardo Silva, all quality. And when they make substitutions, they bring on Phil Foden and Ike Gundogan or Fernandinho, all quality. With Arsenal, you have two quality midfielders, and that is Odegaard and Partey. So the fact that he has, the fact that him single-handedly has been able to beat, midfields of 3, midfields of 2, and he's done it very well, is why I would definitely say that he's been good for us. Yeah, and he can get better. Right? He can get better. I think with Partey, it's not a question of can he improve? No. It's a question of can he settle and have a 30 game campaign uninterrupted. But trust me, even if Partey plays 25 games in a campaign only, it could be enough as long as we have a very, very good cover for him. So he's been good for us. He's been good for us, right? We just need other players that can put in the same performances. Look, let me give. These are my top 3 players at Arsenal that would be very, very hard to replace. Number 1 is Kieran Tierney. That guy is injury prone. But if you ask me to replace Kieran Tierney, look, we could get in anyone. You could go and you could give me anyone. But Kieran Tierney's character and the level of hard work and the commitment he has is unreplaceable. The second one is Aaron Ramsdale. Ramsdale is more than just a player, and the third one is Thomas Partey. Because what you will like about Partey, and what I like about Partey, is his ability to elevate other players' quality. He's more like a kind of Kevin De Bruyne and Thiago Alcantara. I'm not saying in what they do, but when I look at Thiago have the ball, I just feel like Liverpool is so good. I just feel like every Liverpool player is that good. When you look at Kevin De Bruyne do what he does, and scoring a hat trick in the left foot, you feel like every Manchester City player is good, and ultimately the team is doing well. So for me, Partey is like that. He can support other players into playing well. He's been good for us. I can't disagree. Tchouaméni and Partey in midfield. That is the best midfield partnership that Arsenal would ever have. Is Partey fit to play today? Partey is back in training. It will depend on the manager. Money, my guy. I love the way the channel is growing. Thank you so much. Golden. Jenzaya, Tchouaméni, right? Cossy, what is our starting lineup for today? Okay, so look, Tchouaméni. I'm going to talk about the starting lineup. Tchouaméni and Partey. God, do not test us. But if you want to test us, please, as Arsenal fans, we are asking, test us with Tchouaméni and Partey midfield. Tchouaméni is I don't know who's better. Honestly, I don't know who's better. I don't know whether it's Tchouaméni. I don't know if it's Partey. But Tchouaméni is the new Thomas Partey. And what you have with players like Tchouaméni is that kind of they have revolutionized the number 6. Tchouaméni, Partey, Rodri, Fernandinho, who's that boy playing at Liverpool? I've just forgotten his name. The Brazilian playing number 6 for Liverpool. Is it Fabio? No. How can I forget his name? I mean, I've always, Fabinho, right? They have revolutionized the number 6, and they have made it more exciting. Now it is no longer about winning the ball and kicking it out for a throw in or pumping it up, up the pitch. It's about falling deep into in between your center backs and receiving that ball directly from your goalkeeper and being able to turn. I think you see it. I think, have you seen, if you want to see a player who does it, and I'm sorry, I'm going to say this. If you want to see a player who does it so well for me, go and watch Rodrigo Bentancur. Spurs do not have that lots of creativity in their midfield because they play Rodrigo Bentancur and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg, and they're supported by by wing backs. That is Emerson and Ryan Sessegnon. So they don't have that number 10. They don't have that player like Kevin De Bruyne or Martin Odegaard. But Rodrigo Bentancur, when he receives the ball, look at his movement. when he receives the ball. And you'll understand why, despite the fact that he picks the ball from so deep, he's again the reason as to why Spurs are always able to play high up the pitch. He's able to turn away, turn amidst pressure, because many clubs play with three midfielders, right? So you're always going to be under lots of pressure when you're playing in a midfield of two. But he always turns. And that is what Tchouaméni does. And that is what Partey does. If you have those two doing that, Jesus Christ. Of course, it limits the creativity. And probably that's the reason as to why I would prefer a player like Lucas Paqueta. Because with Paqueta, it allows Partey to be, to cover more ground on the pitch. And it also allows Partey to play that, kind of a free number 6, like be the best, a single pivot, right? Which we have already seen he can do well, and he can be a bowler, against any side. So when Partey does that, it gives us two creative midfielders, right? It's what Barca do with Pedri and Frenkie de Jong. Literally, their game is played through Busquets. And when Busquets is crowded, that's what Frankfurt did, by the way. Frankfurt made sure that Busquets gets a hard time receiving, but also releasing the ball. And when that happens, Frenkie de Jong falls deep and Pedri falls deep. So literally, your creative midfielders have actually been eliminated in the game. They fall deep, right? Certainly, because your wingers stay high up the pitch, they do not get any service, and Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang doesn't get any service. You're dead. It's dead. It's dead. So with Partey, what I love about him is that it's so hard to keep him out of the game, because he can dribble, he can pass, he can always, make sure that he finds, space. But also, even if you try to crowd him out, right? And Busquets also has that. At times he's very, very press resistant. I think the player who can do it very well, and why I think United should just keep Matic for a while, is Matic is so press resistant. Like, you can, because with Ten Hag, Arteta, and Guardiola, you always want someone who you can play through, right? You always, and many people think, oh, the most important player at City is Kevin De Bruyne. No, the most important player at City is Bernardo Silva, because the team plays through him, right? The team plays through him. Offensively, look at his hit map. Go and look at his hit maps, right? He's always everywhere, right? He's always everywhere. So, I don't know, but Tchouaméni would be, such a nice addition for me. Is Arsenal in interest of Isak? Look, the interest has cooled down a little bit, but I think it's still there. Ayo says, man, Partey just needs to stay fit. The way he creates space from tight areas is exceptional. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. That is a hell of a comment. And I think that is what makes him an exceptional player. That is what makes him a different kind of player. That he can express himself, but when that doesn't work out, when that doesn't come to reality, he will get the ball and he will make sure that he plays his way out of a tight situation. And that is very, very good if you have a midfielder who can do that, because literally if he receives the ball, he's going to attract press, right? He's going to attract numbers. And that's why, in most cases, when you see him on the left, he's going to make that pass to the right for Saka. And Saka is always free, right? Because Partey influences the game in a way that, we always have, a free flank. We are always having a free flank, and he has the ability to play that ball earlier for Saka before Saka can be closed down. And Saka closes a lot of distance, a lot of space, a lot of space. When Partey is on the pitch, because he plays that ball to him earlier. The problem with players like with El Neni will never play that ball early, and he has to get close to play that. He doesn't have the ability to play that ball from his own half to look out for Saka. He doesn't have that quality, but Partey has, and he always does. He always does. Okay, what is our starting lineup today? Now, look, if you look at Everton, I think we've done a starting lineup. Glenn has done a video, but if you look at Everton, I think they're a club that will always want you to have the ball. Right? They're going to have us, they're going to be happy to leave us with possession. I think they should have drunk a lot. They should have drunk a lot after beating Crystal Palace and confirming they will stay up. They should have drunk a lot. But Everton is not very different from Newcastle. They're not different. It's not a different game. It's a game where Arsenal need desperately, but the team we are playing doesn't need anything. Right? They're playing to make sure that their fans keep shouting. That is a very difficult situation to play in. And I'm sorry, I had to do a video on how to beat Newcastle, on how to beat Everton, and I've not done that. But of course, we're going to have the grand video on the final match day, and we'll talk about everything. So for me, the thing we have to do now, as opposed to what I said earlier, I don't think Norwich are going to beat Tottenham. So we need to go out there and win 5, win 4, 4-0, win 5-0. So go attacking. Make sure we attack. Play a back 4, Ben White, and Ben White, Gabriel, Ramsdale, Cedric, and Nuno Tavares. Back 4. Elneny and Albert, Xhaka and Albert Sambi-Lokonga. Get in Lokonga. Just get him some time, right? Just get him some playing time. After all, he's one for the future. Then Odegaard, Martinelli, Saka, and Edin Nketiah. Yeah, that should be the lineup. But go attack. We should attack. Attack this game from minute 1, because there is nothing to lose. It can't get any ugly. If there is, if it can, I don't see how it, I don't see how it becomes any ugly. I don't see how it gets any ugly. So play your best 11 and attack the game, right? I think Lautaro Martinez is more than Gabriel and Lukaku. Lukaku has played in the Premier League. Is Paqueta better than Renato Sanchez? Do you think Arsenal gonna pay 100 million for Victor Osimhen? Is Paqueta better than Renato Sanchez? The problem with Renato Sanchez is my problem with him, really, not everybody's problem, is that he can't keep himself fit. And he's one of those players that have very, very good tournaments, very, very good spells, but he's not consistent. With Lucas Paqueta, you have a player who is consistent and can easily be judged across a period of time, right? Paqueta can be evaluated because he's consistent. Renato Sanchez is hard to evaluate because of his inconsistency. I hope I make a point. But if you ask me who is the better player on their best day, I'll go with Lucas Paqueta, because Paqueta is a little bit more versatile. But I think Renato is the player that we need. I hope I make sense. Renato, on his day, Renato is the player we need. A player who moves the ball through the midfield very quickly. a player who allows the ball to be played through him, and a player who is very intelligent. Paqueta is a left-right midfielder. Renato is a number 8 who's happy to sit very well in the pivot. Paqueta can also do that. He can sit in the pivot, but if he sits in the pivot, if you're comparing them as players sitting in the pivot, Renato is by far the better player. But in the advanced areas of the pitch, Lucas Paqueta is a beast. He's a monster. He's an absolute monster. Do you think Arsenal are going to pay 100 million for Osimhen? No. I don't think Arsenal will pay 100 million for Osimhen, and I don't think Napoli will get 100 million for Osimhen. Yeah, they will eventually they will settle for something. Yeah, they will settle for they will settle for a fee. Yeah, eventually they will settle for eventually they will settle for a fee. At times it is I don't know what I should say. At times is it excitement, right? I mean, they're trying to keep him. Honestly, it's not excitement. They're trying to keep him. They're trying to make sure that no one takes their player away, and you can't blame them for that. You always want to keep your best player. You always want to keep your best man. So, but for me, honestly, for me, mm-mm, mm-mm. I'm not. I'm against the view that we should pay that much. I'm against the view that we should pay that much. I'm against the view. Now, I would love to ask you guys. I want to do a morning show on a daily basis on this channel, but what time is it? Is favorable for you? Is it? Should we do it very early in the morning, 10 a.m.? Should we do it at 11 a.m. or at midday? Let me know in the just let me know in the comments. What is the favorable time for you? I would love to know. I would really, really love to know. Okay. Who are your 4 or 5 players that we need this summer? 4 or 5 players that we need this summer. Okay. I'll go with 5 because I think Arsenal need a lot of quality, right? So I'll go with 5. Up front, Darwin Núñez is a very, would be a very, very key signing. Very key. Actually, I'll tell you this. I would get Darwin Núñez and I would get Darwin Núñez and Moussa Diaby from Darwin Núñez and Moussa Diaby from Bayer Leverkusen. Because with Moussa Diaby, I get to replicate what Saka does on the right wing. Don't get me wrong. I think Martinelli will do it, right? But I can also I can see Martinelli as a new Robin van Persie, one that can be your center man, one can be that can be your striker, and then he does it well. So I would be happy to play Moussa Diaby, on the left, Saka on the right, and play Darwin Núñez down through the middle. So those are 2. In the midfield, we need a lot of reinforcements from the midfield, but I think I would go for 2 as well in midfield. I would bring in Lucas Paqueta and Yves Bissouma. Bissouma covers for Partey, and Lucas Paqueta starts alongside Thomas Partey when Partey is fit. Now, at right back, I wouldn't really sign someone because I've gone with 5 because I've gone with 5 options. So at right back, I would definitely bring in Brooke Norton Carthy. Intelligent, high prospect player. Bring him in, let him cover, right? And then at left back, then I would sign Tino Livramento from Southampton. Those would be my 5. And trust me, you get Paqueta, Bissouma, Darwin Núñez, and Moussa Diaby. That is an upgrade. That is an upgrade. Yeah, it's an upgrade that would look to take some time to come around. Like Diaby would need some time, Darwin Núñez would need some time, Paqueta would need some time, and Bissouma, all of them would need some time to get incorporated into the squad and everything. But trust me, if they do, and when they do get incorporated in the squad and integrated in the squad, you would have a very, very nice squad there. Okay. Kid says, I really love this show, Cossy. Please keep it up. 10 a.m. will be fine. My suggestion. Thank you so much. Ayo says 11 a.m. East African Standard Time. So we are in that range. How are you? How about doing it at 11 a.m.? Okay, 11 a.m., 10 p.m. That is the time you guys have suggested. And I'm glad. I'm really, really glad that I got your opinion. All right. So thanks everybody for watching. Smash the like button for me. Let's get the likes off the roofs. Let's make sure that this video gets to at least and then Golden says midday would be fine. Jen says 11 a.m. Okay. Okay. That's brilliant. That's really brilliant. I got your reactions. Interesting. So thanks everybody for watching. Make sure you do hit the like button for me. Let's get this video to 200 likes, right? This community is very, very amazing. I rarely need to tell people to give me a like. So thanks everybody for always doing that. And I'm gonna say, until we talk about the final day of the season, kwaheri for now.